Welcome to the CrossFit Alioth Unleashed podcast, where we discuss health and fitness, mindset and business with your host, Coach Lloyd. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Alioth Unleashed, where we post updates and teasers on our upcoming guests and podcasts. Here we go, another episode of CrossFit Alioth Unleashed podcast, and today I have a member of the gym with me. His name is Diego. How you doing, pal?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We finally did get you sat down, even though we're a little bit late.
You've had some awesome shows that I've been listening to.
Okay.
So thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And why are you late to my podcast?
What, say that again?
Why was you late to my podcast? Do you have an excuse?
Man,
I've not heard it yet.
I was late because I went to Dubai Marina Mall, which I have not been to in probably 3 years.
Don't blame
And
me.
let me tell you how little of a business person I am. I ended up parking next to the person that I was meeting at the podcast, at the meeting at the mall, and got to chatting right away at the car. So we walked in, took the elevator, sat down, had a coffee. When I left, I'm like, where did I park?
Did he know?
I already left the meeting to go look for my car, so I can't ask for help. So it's an oval.
Yeah.
So I literally
walking around.
I knew that. So I spent 35 minutes looking for my car because I was so focused on, like, once I saw the person that I was meeting, I switched to like, I'm here to, like, I'm meeting this person, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in 3 years. Like, let's catch up, and completely lost track of everything else that's going on around the world. So, and the system at the mall didn't work. So I went to security and it's like, hey, can you find out my car? They're like, yeah, type the plate number. The plate number comes up to like a small car. I'm like, that's definitely not my car.
Damn. Imagine if that was in Dubai Mall, that would have been like over an hour at least.
Yeah, I definitely would have missed the 8th episode of the Unleashed podcast.
Problems for living in Dubai, for those that actually don't know and are listening and do not live in Dubai.
Yeah.
These little problems of finding your car in the mall is stressful, right?
First world problems.
Anyhow, we're here now. Just explain to people who you are, where you're from, and a little bit of what brought you to the UAE.
Sure. Well, my name is Diegorcenteno. I'm originally I was born in Venezuela, but I grew up half of my life in Venezuela, and the other half of my life I lived in the United States. What brought me I had never been to the Gulf until the day that I moved to the Gulf in 2013, when I started working at Circuit Plus in Kuwait. So an opportunity had presented itself there in 2013 to do some business development consulting work for a small group just starting to open a CrossFit facility. So I did some research. I was working in London at the time, doing events there, and this opportunity came up, and it was too good to pass. We were already been like 5 or 6 years into CrossFit in North America, but in the Gulf, it was brand new.
Let's just take it back. You was working in events in London. What exactly was you doing?
Yeah, I was helping some guys that ran an event called the Battle of London Throwdown.
So CrossFit events?
CrossFit competitions in London, yeah. Brunel University, Olympic Park, Lee Valley Sports Center. So just running massive throwdowns. Actually, it was probably one of the largest in Europe at the time.
So business development, right?
Business development.
So what does that entail?
That means speaking, CrossFit is in general is a very, relaxed business in terms of how people interact with one another. It's not very structured or very corporate. So I came to kind of do the language of bringing a little bit of corporate language to the way people did business in CrossFit, which was like, yeah, put a tent over there, bring your stuff, sell your stuff there. It was kind of like, okay, let's create some order, create some discipline so people can plan on being in your event in the first place, as you are part of a larger ecosystem of events that are happening. So you want people to schedule the event, you want to formalize all the general stuff. So, pricing, spacing, staff, and that sort of thing. So
these were these sort of like the first big competitions arising up in England,
in
right?
the UK, yeah.
Because before that, I guess it was just local competitions, which is in the gym, easy to run.
Exactly. These were like where people were hiring a 100,000-pound venue, like the XL. Wow. Well, but this is before XL Arena, but they were putting some serious money in there, and there was thousands of people coming to watch. I mean, you had Annie, Katrin, this is like the really, really early days. The OGs, yeah. And this is before it was professional. It was professional in the sense that you had an event, but like, okay, you have like a media day, you have media access, this kind of stuff.
So you basically just ran the whole thing.
I just told them what we had learned the hard way in the States.
Okay.
So like where you can get in trouble really quickly and where you can fix that, and then you can focus on the event.
Okay. So you basically told them, this is what you should do.
This is
how you need to run an event.
Yeah.
Do this and you'll be fine.
And they were running really good events where like, where can
Could be better.
Could be better. And then the social media aspect of things, where we were really leveraging social media, free platforms back then, especially Twitter and YouTube and Facebook, to really leverage the coverage of the event before, during, and after. So back then, Facebook and Twitter were the only things that you really used.
How would you get athletes such as Annie
they
down there?
So they weren't Annie back. I mean, she wouldn't have been like Katrin. There was not that many events happening. So you just went to what was happening. So back then you didn't have that. You know, you had Germany kind of to take off. You had the UK taking off, but you just didn't have an abundance of events outside of the CrossFit Games or outside of North America.
Right. But Annie come to London for them events, right? Was that like...
Yeah, Katrin mostly. I remember Katrin seeing the most.
Let's just say some big CrossFit names.
Big
Did
names.
they just hear of it and come themselves, or was it more of an invitation?
No, they would come. Yeah. Back then it was just you just showed
up. The prize money?
Yeah. No, I think to get reps in.
Yeah.
To see how you stacked up against the other people, because you didn't really get a chance to, other than if they posted a lot more, less frequently than they do now. You didn't know what they were doing in Iceland. You didn't know what was going on in UK and Germany. So it was an opportunity to see how you stacked against other people. Yeah. Because it's very, very common to be really good at your own gym until you go to somebody else's gym.
Well, that's
it. Like that is literally what happens.
We've got to remember how long ago that was as well, right? It was like 2000 and what? 12?
10.
10?
Yeah.
So it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Not many competitions around like there are now.
No.
And like you said, unless
and in social,
you went to other boxes.
Yeah, and there's no media coverage of like what this person's doing in Iceland. No one. So you only saw them in live competitions. Like, oh man, that's when you saw somebody doing like a 315 deadlift, and you're like, oh wow, we're not 225 anymore. It's 315.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How things have changed from 2010 till now, right?
Yeah, but you look back, it's crazy.
So after all these events in London, you was obviously very successful at making sure these events ran smoothly and people knew exactly what they were doing to run a good event.
Right.
What happened from there? So you're doing these events in London, then what changed?
So I thanks to social media, I ended up meeting people that were already living in Kuwait. And then I reached out and I said, I see you guys have a gym. Have you thought of A, B, C, D? And they're like, no, we're just like opening the gym. Is that something that you can help with? And I said, yeah. And it's like, okay, let me put you in touch with the owners. The owners flew from Kuwait all the way to San Antonio, Texas.
To meet you?
To meet up, yeah. And I had this meeting that lasted maybe like an hour. And then like a couple of days later, they're like, okay, we want you to move to Kuwait. Here's the offer. And I went crazy and I'm like, oh yeah, I need like first class tickets and this and this and this and this. And they're like, dude, if that's what you want, then we're not going to give you that. This is what we can give you and this is what you can do. And I was like, oh, okay. So, but like, I thought like, I didn't know anything about the Middle East. I knew that we came in to Kuwait and helped during the war. So I didn't really have any background on what was going on here. And you didn't really care because it's just like, what are they doing? And like, and I saw photos of the gym and I'm like, this is the first time they just opened a gym. And I'm like, man, you have vaulted ceilings in the gym. That's cool. Crazy. You have like 10 rowers and you have like, okay, cool. Like you have more rowers than most of the gyms here. This is back then, 2013.
So you reached out to them.
I reached out to a coach that was working there.
Okay. So you knew the coach previously.
Luke Holmes. Yeah. He was a Leeds guy.
Yeah.
And he was coaching in Kuwait and coaches were coming because you were getting paid really good money and very little expenses to do basically what everyone just wanted to do was train. You weren't even really coaching. Coaching was the reason to be there, but the focus was to have time to train and to get to take home what you were earning. In the UK or in the West, you earn more, but you're not taking it home. You're giving it away, taxes and living expenses. But here, because they're paying for everything else, you keep what you make. Right. So that's why people were coming over. And it was important to have like Western staff in the gyms, the facilities to charge premium prices. Yeah,
I think it suited both worlds, right?
Yeah.
I think coaches did first come over back then because obviously warmer climates for one. Maybe getting a full-time salary for maybe
2 hours, 3 hours.
What you'd seem is a part-time job because back in the UK, unless you owned the gym, you was basically doing part-time coaching. You was never earning a living from it. You was doing something and then coaching part-time. Whereas over here, it's more of a full-time job. A full-time pay with a part-time hours, and you could always do your personal training. Or back in the day, it was basically to train more, become a better athlete, and then to compete around Kuwait, these competitions.
Even the world, even the world, because now you had $10,000 in your pocket that you knew that as long as you went to work, you're gonna get paid $30,000-$40,000 a year. So you're like, okay, I'll go there.
It's not a bad wage, is it?
And in the States today, you still can't do that. Like no one's going to pay you that. You own your own business. You run your own affiliate. You have part-time staff or contractors, but you're not going to pay more than you pay yourself.
Yeah. And it's, you know what I find about moving over here and doing what I'm doing, it's kind of like you're getting the same amount of money as you would having your own box at home, but you don't have all the stress of actually owning your own box over here.
Right.
You know, you're working for someone whose box it is.
Yeah.
You're just without all that stress.
Right.
You know, and it's not your little baby, it's not your gym, but still,
but you don't have to worry about the
for
lights.
a few hours. For now, it's for a few years, should I say? For now, it's not a bad, it's not a bad gig. So you went over to Kuwait. Once you talked to Luke about this certain job opportunity, or you provided them a job opportunity to make.
I invented. I said, this is what I think I can bring.
Okay.
This is who I know,
so
and this is what I've been doing.
A certain gym, which was called Circuit Plus, which was a big gym, very big gym.
The first affiliate starting up.
So what did you tell them? What do you say that you could bring to the table?
Well, one of the first conversations I had, I asked him is like, do you plan on having more than one facility? And that's one of the things that I came with the experience of, is running multiple facilities at the same time that run similar, right? So you have multi-facility operation, which is, you can have the original facility, but it's very hard to duplicate that across multiple, especially in the same city, because some members might drop in and they say, oh, we don't ever run 400 because there's nowhere to run, right? So they're only use the rower, and vice versa. So you start to put systems in place that allow the facilities to mirror themselves as much as possible, even though the members might be different, different working class, they're just different in where they come in, wherever they live in that city. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and the other thing was the business side of things, in terms of any brand that was big in North America, I had a relationship with, like a personal relationship with a brand where I can reach out to them and say, I need this, not at the price that you're selling it. I need it at this price. And this is what I can do for you. So I was the broker itself for our own company.
He was the middleman.
And that allowed us to know, which they knew was going to happen, is that a lot of your membership base was going to open their own facility after they join yours, because everyone thinks that they know how to run a facility, right? And they do the math. They're like, oh, there's 200 people here. They pay $1,000. This is $200,000 a month. I can do this. No, you can't, because you're not thinking over the overhead, right? But very common. So every time you get an email for flooring, I'm the one that gets the quote. Anytime you get equipment, I get the email.
I see.
So you had to go through us to open. And that created quite a bit of leverage, because it gave us time to expand. But then you have the premium brands too. Like everyone wants Rogue when you open a gym, and we were the Rogue distributor, so no one could get Rogue better prices than we could,
unless it was going through you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and that secured our own equipment, right? So we were buying preferential, and then we can sell to anyone else who's going to open. You're not against people opening. Competition is good.
Yeah, for sure.
But you're still benefiting from the ones that are opening that you have nothing to do with.
Was there anyone in Kuwait doing the multi-facility thing before you got there?
No, not yet.
No, so it's the first time
in
Kuwait
CrossFit. Not in CrossFit. There's commercial facilities that were doing that, but no one was doing it in CrossFit.
Was it a success?
Yeah, I mean, they're still going strong, and they've expanded into like indoor cycling, boxing, boot camps.
It's all Circuit Plus.
All Circuit Plus, yeah.
So how many facilities did you have over there now?
When I left, I think they were opening the 6th by the time I left, and I think they're around this. I don't know honestly how many they have nowadays. And what their operation model is like. COVID was hard in Kuwait, but
so is each facility different in what they provide? So you got CrossFit.
So you have a women's only.
Yeah.
You would have a women's only program, and then you have a CrossFit only programs, and then you have boot camps only programs. At some point, we had yoga, Pilates, and bar method.
Yeah, so a little bit more than CrossFit then.
A little bit, yeah, because
he's offering a lot more there.
Yeah. CrossFit is. Yeah, it's a good entrance, but then sometimes people want to get more out of fitness, so we can provide that. And then we went stateside quite a bit to look at concepts that we could bring over. Instead of bringing something over, we would develop internally. So you look at a Barry's Bootcamp and say, okay, what's Barry's Bootcamp doing? Should we bring berries, or should we build our own berries? And then you always decide to do your own.
Yeah. You think Circuit Plus was one of the first, probably the first gym to do that over here? Because I know now a lot of gyms opening, or gyms do offer now a sort of a mix between.
Well, they all do it within
choices, right?
Yeah, well, they do it within the same facility.
They do.
Yeah, they were doing multi-facility.
So you've got a facility to go to for the CrossFit, a facility to go to for the cycling, for the yoga, whatever it might be.
It's important. A lot of people think, I mean, this is where it goes back and forth, where you have like a global gym, let's call it Gym X, that has every discipline. And then you have where you have subdivisions, subcategories for everything. And time after time, and even when you look at malls, like the malls, the shopping retail, people generally don't like one-stop shop. They initially say they do, but then the premium places always operate where people want a yoga specific place and they want a CrossFit only
because you think
specific
that
place.
it knows better, right?
Dude, you just need, we like change. We don't like
they call it a jack of all trades and a master of none, right?
Yeah, you wanna I mean, you wanna socialize. That place of going for one stop for everything, it's very limited to the amount of people that like to do that.
Yeah.
And that's why you look at commercial facilities that try to look like CrossFit gyms, but CrossFit gyms don't try to look like commercial facilities. If you look to any commercial facility, like, oh, this is our functional area. Okay. Have you ever looked at a CrossFit gym and say, they're not trying to look like a commercial gym, but commercial gyms love to look like functional fitness facilities.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was you over at Circuit Plus, and it seemed to me like you getting there, it was you being or having sort of a network and knowing people, knowing the right people in the right places. How important is it for the networking side to get, for you to have these contacts?
Well, dealing with the North American market, anything outside of North America is very foreign, no pun intended, and not very interesting to us because it's very difficult to trade outside of North America. So in the US, I can sell to 320 million people and ship it next day within the same country, and I don't have to get anything signed and stamped and approved and notarized.
Wow.
Every time you ship something abroad, it's almost like the juice is not worth the squeeze. And that's the way that North America will look at most markets outside of North America. They're going to look at like, why? Like, what is like, one container, $100,000. Is it worth it? Yeah. It's not worth it. That's where I came in. So I can have the conversation and for between Americans and say, this is the opportunity. This is the purchasing power. This is the growth rate. This is the age of the people in the country. When you go in the golfer is very young compared to North America. So I can be like, listen, this is a good market for you. There's most people here at my gym are 22 years old and they drive a $250,000 car. Okay. Then you start to think, well, maybe it's not worth it this year, but it can be worth it in the next 10 years. Yeah. So that's what we really did. So it's creating a channel, it's very difficult for a guy from, for example, a Muhammad guy emails a guy named Travis in St. Louis, Missouri, and he's going to be like, okay, Muhammad, but if a guy is like, hey man, I'm like, hey Travis, I'm Diego. I went to school in Nebraska. Dude, what's up? It's easy.
Straight away. Yeah.
Straight away. And that's literally what I've been doing for the last 10 years at every level.
So you're still doing that now?
I still do that. Yeah. I mean, if you tell me you want to reach a company, it's a lot easier for me to reach them than it would be for you. Because I can either know someone there or I can reach out to somebody that knows them and then gap the bridge.
Are you currently helping gyms out at the minute or
I don't really, it's funny. I really don't. And it's funny because these are a lot of meetings that I had at 5 years, 6 years when I arrived of people. I met with a lot of gyms of what they wanted to do. And many of them have closed. And many of them still haven't implemented what they say they were going to implement it. And it's fine. They didn't hire me and I didn't expect them to hire. I said, this is what I know how to do. But they're struggling with the same things that had they fixed them 5 years ago, today they would be a whole different business, right? And that's what you can see a facility like CrossFit Alioth, and not because I'm a member there, but you can see the evolution of what's taken for the last 7 years of going to a truly commercial, operational, professional business. It just runs like a business. It doesn't run like a Mickey Mouse business. But that requires commitment from the ownership and requires management. Yeah.
We can swiftly move on to gyms in Dubai because like you just touched on, there's a lot of people trying to open boxes, open gyms, not being too successful, maybe closing down after a year or so. Yeah. Whatever it might be, we always see these gyms opening up. What is it that they're doing wrong?
Well, it really depends on why you're opening in the first place. What is your aspiration for the business? Are you opening one facility for you and your friends to train and have fun? Great. People do that with bars, restaurants. It's fine. You want to have a speakeasy for you and your mates. But the cost of doing business here is high. So you really have to have commercial implications of why are you opening? And I think sometimes the ownership thinks they know more than they knew. And sometimes the ownership also relies too much on external help rather than doing it themselves.
I see.
And that's the number one issue. Now, there's plenty of room for physical facilities in Dubai because you can still, it's not an issue of product, but there's not a lot of product improvement. So everyone offers a little bit of everything, but not everyone's offering a really good product. Yeah. And what I mean by that is goes from the way the customer is greeted, to all the membership experience. That can all be, everyone can get better at that. And that's what commercial facilities usually do very well with systems. But people open facilities, maybe they're misled from the realtor, the contractor, the equipment suppliers, because they're not really sure why they're opening a facility.
Yeah. I think your why has to be strong, right?
The why.
Your brand image and your why has to be pretty strong. I feel like, what I do feel like is, because it's Dubai, people throw money at it, expect it to work. No matter how much money you have, if your why isn't strong enough, your brand's not strong enough, and you haven't got the right people in working for you, it doesn't matter how much money you've got, you're not going to succeed. I feel like,
and that's common in most things, and a lot of times
sure.
this issue, you throw money at things and you hope that someone will stick to it, but it just doesn't. And I think the number one asset that you need is a staff that cares. It's ownership. So anybody that's part of the facility or the concept has to be bought into it. And it's not a financial thing always. Yeah, they have to be able to sustain themselves. Yeah, they have to believe in what they're doing, and it might be cheesy, and it might be. On the people need to have a reason to get up out of bed and go to work for you. Like they just need to know why they're going. And that's more important than financial. Yeah, they have to be financially stable so they can get to work in the first place, but they have to buy in. And that starts from the ownership. So I would open a facility in Dubai, for example, if I wanted to, but I don't want to deal with 200, 300 customers. That's not, because I would have to deal with all of them at a personal level, because that's what it would take to be successful. Right? Unless you want to run a commercial facility, which is fine.
Unless you get somebody in who you know really well, who can
that
do
really
the job
cares.
for you.
Yeah. But then at some point, they're wondering, like, well, why didn't I do it for myself? Right?
They might not have the money.
So that comes into money. But you had Tanner on the show, right? You've had it on the podcast, and what Tanner is doing is really good, and essentially is what a lot of people should think about doing in terms of revenue outside of the physical space. That doesn't carry the overhead. And you can touch way more people digitally you can physically. No pun intended. You know what I mean? But what he's doing is imagine at this rate, he could generate more revenue with no overhead versus the facilities that have brick and mortar with staff.
Well, he has a very low overhead because he has to obviously pay.
He has a low overhead, but he can grow at a faster rate for longer without needing more space. He can hire 2 cameramen and 3 photographers and buy 3 more computers. For a physical facility, they have to take on more space, which automatically means more cost to fit out and to operate. So technically, a coach could out earn a physical facility in 5 years if they do it.
If they do it right.
If they do it right. And right, it's not very, I'm not saying it's not very hard, but it's very, in Dubai, it's very undeveloped. In North America, if you look at, I don't know, in the UK, I don't know many trainers, but the amount of trainers with digital products in terms of nutrition, training, supplements, everyone's a business owner. Everyone with a camera in a gym, in benches in their room can be a business owner. So
for coaches listening, CrossFit coaches or any other coach in Dubai, you think that's the way to go forward? I think moving forward, at some age or at some point, you have to determine how to earn revenue when you're not on the coaching floor. Yeah, right. Because coaching does have a bit of a lifespan, right? Because I'm constantly thinking that, come to a certain age, no one wants an old coach, right? That goes into like when you go to Hooters, like at a certain age or a bar, you don't want like you don't want the old people, you don't want an old bartender, male or female there. So at some point, people want to hire younger people to do the fitness side of things. Now that you can't do it as you get older, there's an audience for that too. There is. But you have to think of how to earn revenue or money when you're not on the coaching floor, because there's only so many hours, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. And if you're doing it for 12 hours a day, customer 12 is not getting the same product as customer 1. They can't. You're tired. Like, for sure. And I'm guessing the more different streams of avenue you go down is different, more income, right? So you've got Tanner maybe earning a little money at the minute off YouTube. You've got his online programming. What else is there? What would you do? So hang on. So let's just say you've now decided to become a CrossFit coach. Or you have been. You're a little bit old now. You can't work on the gym floor. You don't want to work on the gym floor. What are your different avenues now? What would you do? So the first one is, so you have your digital products. So which is what Tanner has. He has like the challenges, right?
He creates
Just explain that.
a digital product, like a 90-day challenge.
Okay. So like a little program, online
Yeah,
program.
yeah. So, and then you can have something more static, like an ebook, right? Like a
He has
8-week
ebooks as
shred thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with Tanner, I'm not giving anything away that it's not public. Tanner's doing like a sales funnel, right? So you create this network, and you keep people in the funnel. And then once they're in the funnel, you can create new products. So it's like, hey, you did my 8-minute abs. Now you can do my bicep program. So
you're creating your own little online community.
Exactly. Because people are not buying the program. People are buying Tanner.
Yeah.
Right. And this is where it gets missed a lot, is that it doesn't matter your accreditations. It doesn't matter your education. It matters whether people buy into you or not. And you can sit down and wait a long time to have all the paperwork. And you'll be outsold by somebody that just gets in front of the camera and talks.
Yeah.
If it's important to you, maybe it's not important to people, but there's so many products out there. When I think about, let's say she or he wanted to get into coaching, I would go to, let's say, women, they're getting ready for their wedding, right? They want 8 weeks to train to look good in the dress. Same for men. Men want to fit in their thing, whatever, the bachelor party, so that's a new product you can create. So these products are not being created in the region at all. Zero.
Which is
maybe they are. Maybe are people doing it.
Maybe they are, but they're not doing it well if they are, because we don't.
Or maybe they're doing it so well where they don't want anybody to know that they do brides only.
It's funny because, I mean, I remember when I first became a personal trainer, which was a long time ago, I went to these networking events where we just sat down. Yeah. People opening companies, or just, had an idea, or they just a newly opened company. Yeah. And I must have been 21 after around college and uni. Yeah. And this was my idea of getting women fit before they get married. And people was, what an amazing idea. Right. I'll dishing out my business cards on the table. Like, we'll get in touch. And this was years ago. So in England, this is the big thing. But over here, it's like no one's doing it.
But it could be big because the weddings are expensive, right?
Right.
So you should
and it's like a little niche, right? So I guess you just got to find your little niche.
I would say find what it is that you enjoy doing. So for example, I like animals. I like dogs. So if I was a trainer, maybe I'd do like a class with you and your pet. Right, where you get your exercise and the dog gets their exercise the same day, which means bring your dog to the park and we train together. Do whatever. So these are all products that you can create digitally, and you can create them physically. I say digital because you're limited to the amount of hours and time and space, plus your own health, your own time. So I would say, do digital stuff where turn your bedroom into a studio, build your social on that terms, right? And then create products that you can sell, create alliances with brands where, you talk to the guys from What Guys, for example. Brandy, I need some kettlebells. Can you stock these kettlebells? They look like this, like this, like this. You buy 10 of them, and then you start a program with this kettlebell, and then you say, hey, if you want a kettlebell, you can order it from these guys. They benefit, you benefit, the customer benefits. Yeah. So you start to create an ecosystem, a funnel, right? Yeah. And then you decide to launch your own pre-workout. Who are they going to come to? They trust you for the workout. They trust you for the equipment. They trust you for the supplement. Yeah. And a lot of people say, well, you're trying to be greedy. You're not being greedy. They're going to go buy it. You got to understand that everyone else is also talking to your customer. So would you rather your customer buy supplements from you or the guy at GNC that really has no idea what they're talking about? They might, but they can also just be trying to get commission on the product. So they'll push it to this supplement. So they're going to buy. They want to buy. You're just going to offer it with integrity of like, this is what I take. Yeah. You can say, well, I don't believe in supplements, full stop. Okay. But be aware that your customers believe in supplements and they're going to go buy it from somebody. So you can have a promo code, for lack of a better word. You can create your own, or you can make a partnership. So there's really no limitations of how many revenue streams you can have as a trainer or as a facility online. And you can also, if you want to stay physical, you can also get to the point where you have trainers working for you because you're the personality. So, and you can't take more clients, and you start to do a revenue share with other coaches to say, okay, you come into my team. Now you're part of Lloyd Fitness, incorporate it. Everybody knows this is the company to go to. We'll go 50-50, 60-40. The longer they keep him, whatever split you want to do, they're doing the work, but you're the funnel. Yeah. Right. Which is also a very successful one-on-one business model.
I think that's
how these... Some people do it. Maybe I'm not aware of it, but
I think your big programming companies, like you got Invictus Online, stuff like these. Like they're all filtered down to different coaches. Or maybe Matt Fraser's got his programming out now, but he doesn't program for everyone because he physically cannot do it.
You cannot do it, and you wouldn't do it. You're already retired.
So again, he'd have a coach working for him. Yeah. So it kind of works in the same funnel.
And the revenues are insane. I mean, I know a few guys that have digital products, and you're looking at 10 to 15,000 online paying members. It took them 3, 4, 5 years to build these audiences, but you don't know them. They don't act like they're doing this, but they have very successful online businesses, nutrition-based, coaching-based, paying $10, $15 a month per head.
Per person, yeah.
And you have 15,000 people a month.
Yeah. Just trying to get that reach, right?
But that reach is, you're already doing the work. So you're already coaching every day.
Yeah.
And if you work at Alioth, for example, let's say you see 200 members a day. They're already coming through the door. Most people don't interact with 200 people a day. And these people are willing coming. Like, this is the best part of most people's day, is the time they spend at the gym, right? They're not at work, no kids, no work, no stress. Gym, me. So you have 200 willing customers coming into the front of this person every day. It's very easy. Not easy, but you're already doing the work once. Can you record that content? Can you record that work? Can you duplicate that work? And then do the same work somewhere else when you don't have to be there?
Yeah. He's a clever man, isn't he? He knows what he's doing.
I mean, but I haven't done it.
No, you've not.
You know, because
you have the insight, right?
It's just, I'm not big of I don't like to coach, if that makes sense. I'm not an educator. Some people are very good at it. You like to do it. I don't like to lead that type of one-on-one.
Hence why you're in the business development side of things.
Yes, I'd rather develop somebody else's.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Everybody needs people like you in their life to help them out.
I guess.
So let's go from, let's just take it back a little bit. Go from you helping out Circuit Plus in Kuwait, then moving over to Dubai. What happened to make you come to Dubai?
So the catalyst was Kuwait. It was great. I've had a wonderful experience in Kuwait. Actually, it was very beneficial for my learning about the Gulf, living in Kuwait, traveling around the Gulf, learning
dealing with them people,
getting to know locals. But for me, it was a catalyst of having to find, building my own business, the licensing, the paperwork, the freedom that came with that, which is not available in Kuwait, and it's available here.
Okay.
So that was really the big thing. It's like when I'm just kind of like ready.
What about
it's
now?
like once it becomes too easy, it's still not available. No.
Oh, wow.
No. There's ways to do it, but it's not like a standard thing like
Okay.
here. So I came here and I started to look at the options. I met with a few people. And
again, networking, people that you already knew.
Yeah, I mean, again, the networking has always been to where like I really don't need anything from anyone, so I just build relationships as it. I don't need anything anyway. But then one day when I asked, there is that opportunity. It's already been a natural bond there, where it's like, okay, can we have this idea? What do you think?
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen, and then it's just natural because I'm not really trying to sell anything to anyone. So, so yeah, I had that conversation. It's like, hey, I think we can do this. What do you think? Let's meet. Let's have this conversation, and then just evolve to starting as a volunteer for Dubai Fitness Championship, and then kind of just create it. Like it's almost like you create your own thing until you're either get kicked out or you get kept around, right? Like so, I said I think I can. So you, as long as you don't get fired, you know you're doing well.
Yeah. So when you come over and you spoke to people at the DFC, which is Dubai Fitness Championship, what was going on? Where was they at?
They were at I think 5 years into starting. So successful business, successful event.
And was it just these weekly events that they had?
Weekly events, yeah.
There was no...
No, it was the yearly big championship.
Okay, was that just for the locals?
There was a locals, but there was a lot of, not locals as in, there was
not
locals
men,
and expats.
Expats, yeah.
And there was some residents, and there was a lot of people that were kind of sneaking in already that had gotten wind about it. Yeah. Still, like the people who were coming over, they were not really posting. They didn't want anybody to know that this big prizes were here.
So let's explain quickly to the people listening of DFC in the early days. What was it? Like what was happening? Let's explain the weekends that you used to have.
Yeah,
and then
so you were here for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't here. I was watching, but I wasn't here for that, where you had to qualify the week before VF Fitness first, right?
Yeah.
And then you qualify for the finals the following weekend across various venues in Dubai, gyms, government buildings and stuff like that. Then they progress into the online qualifier, which is what really took it to the next level because it created an opportunity for people from all around the world. It was good for the residents to do qualifiers here, but it's not good for another person from outside to spend 2 weeks here.
Yeah.
Right. Or it wasn't really, at the time, it wasn't really possible. But with the online qualifier, you were able to have a lot more people from around the world win money to then use that money to qualify and to come.
Was this your idea?
It was not my idea. In terms of, it was my idea.
You made it happen.
It was more of like, it was time to do it. I think, like I said, this is the time to do it now. You're limited by time and space if you do it physically only. So digital was actually no.
Yeah.
And you see what every competition that's digital now and a physical.
Yeah.
So, and then to become part of a normal schedule, for people to think of the event as something that's going to happen every year around the same time, around the same area, so they can plan around it. Because when the sport is growing so fast, you want to be part of the ecosystem. You need to be part of like the entire planning, so people can 1 stop, 2 stop, 3 stop. You just follow the model of every other sporting event.
So when was the year that we went online with DFC then? Do you remember?
2017.
2017.
No, 2016. They went digital first, online qualifier, and then finals.
From 2000.
Yeah.
When did it start?
2012.
So 2012 to 2016. That was just your local expats,
Yeah.
people around Dubai, Kuwait, anywhere close. You could get down for the weekend,
And if
qualify.
you heard about it, yeah.
And then I think it was like was it the weekend after or the day after where you'd do the final?
Something like that.
I think it was all done in one weekend. I think like you'd have a couple of qualifiers, which was at Al Wasl.
Al Wasl Sports Club, yep.
And then I think it was like the day after you'd go and do the semi-finals, and the day after that was the final. So it was kind of done in all one big weekend.
Yep.
And you've gone from that to literally, right, let's get it online. Let's make sure that everybody worldwide
knows about it.
And
participates.
They can participate in the online qualifier at least.
Yeah.
So you've literally gone from, I don't know, competition with so many hundreds of people to
tens of thousands
competing.
Especially when you add the prize money that was available.
Yeah.
The prize money. And then the finesse of being in a Dubai competition, right? The city of gold and the prices were phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about Dubai CrossFit Championship was that it was a starting point. Yeah, there was big names, but it's starting to be the place where little names got practice around big names. So then when they faced the big names again, they were ready. Yeah. So you take your Laura Horvath or your Gabi Megawa, John Ekoski. These guys were being exposed to the big names here. So once they went to them at the games, they're like, well, I already competed this person. I know I can be. You know what I mean? Like it was a nice exposure, which again, you're measuring yourself against other people.
Yeah, which is important.
Yeah.
So what were the goals of DFC? Like you'd obviously sat down with people.
Yeah.
Like what did they want it to be?
So you always
was it a progression?
Always improve. You always want to move forward, and you never want to. The event every year has to be better than the previous year, and that's from athlete experience to from A to Z. I'm meaning from the registration standpoint, from the communication standpoint, just to make sure everybody has all the information they need to only worry about competing and do it, because they're working essentially, especially when you get towards the top guys. This is money, so you want to make sure that the only thing they have to worry about is showing up and compete. So what can we do? Hotel arrangements, flight, coat, like whatever you can provide in a professional way for them to just come and do their job.
Make it easy for them.
And that's why they kept coming. And that's because it was such an easy, you landed in Dubai airport, you drove 5 minutes, you were at the hotel, you walked to the venue and you walked back to your room. Everything's there. You finish, you won your money and you got on the plane 5 minutes and you were out. So nothing that we invented. That's just what professional sports do. If you look at FIFA, it's just, you do as much as you can for the athletes to just do their job. Yeah.
So I'm guessing you had sort of some partnership with hotels, with transport companies to take them from A to B.
Yeah. So you develop the schedule, you develop the relationship with the company as a provider. So every year they know to expect it. That's the number one thing, is that you want to work with the same vendors every year, because you build continuity and you understand how to work with one another. So you create all your relationship with all your suppliers, from the hotel to catering to everything. So every year they know exactly what to expect. And this is tremendous. Like for event planning, this is the number one thing. People know what they're going to expect.
Yeah.
And again, they don't have to worry about they don't have to sweat the small stuff. So that's really what we did. I mean,
was it much different to the events that you used to run in London?
Yeah. In London, so even the CrossFit Games is, you're out to on your own, you know, and in London and most of the places, the events are only thinking about surviving and having a good competition for the spectators. Those 2 days on the floor, they don't really have the width span to worry about how you got, whether you think it's easy to get from the airport to the hotel. Like in Kuwait, we would pop up sign, we would do roll-ups. We would have people meet you at the airport, make sure that they clear the airport, got to the right hotel, little things like that. So that's really what we focused on, athlete experience. So you want people to have a good experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And that goes back like, hey, how was your time in Dubai? And you're like, dude, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to be there next year. And that's really what you want to do. Yeah. You keep the people, you want to show something, and the people that missed out are not going to miss out the next year.
Yeah, and that sort of separates you from other events, right?
It did.
You know, how easy is it for someone to come over from America, most athletes
Yeah.
come to America, to Dubai, and just have a seamless experience from not having to think about much apart from competing.
You have to baby them. You have to
you
baby
do.
them. And in a way, not babying in a bad way, but of taking care of, nurturing this. To just like, because at the end of the day, the biggest names, even Tia, they moved to North America. So they didn't stay in their home countries. They come to the US. That's where the most financial opportunity lies. That's where most of the things are happening. So they have to be there. The sponsors are there. The sport is there. So you have to cater to them. Yeah. And you don't have to do everything, but you make it as easy as possible.
It's just typical Dubai, right?
It's welcoming.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and they don't really care how you get to Madison, dude. Like these are the dates.
You just have to
be
go
there at
yourself.
12. They don't care where you stay. They don't.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that's also a very independent way of doing things, which is a very American thing to do, is where like, it's not our problem. Right. And here we do make it our problem. Like, well, what are they doing? What can we make it better?
Yeah.
So that's what you do.
And you're currently still working for DFC now?
Yeah, we're still doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your sort of job role? What's your...
So, because it's a small team of 3 of us, we've always just we all just do everything.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of delegation in terms, well, I'm better with the brands, speaking the corporate side of things. Mohammed is very good with the project management. So with all the local brand suppliers. So it helps us to kind of just, you do that, I do this. And then we can help each other, but I really know what's going on with this. And sometimes I don't know too much what's going on with that. And then at the end of the weekend, it all comes together.
I guess you know each other's strengths and weaknesses, right?
Exactly. And then, so all the partners are always going to email me. Yeah. Like, it's naturally. And all the suppliers are going to email Mohammed. It's just, that's how the relationships are built.
Yeah.
So like, if I need to talk to GoWad, I'm usually the one that reaches out.
Yeah.
Because I'm the one that has that rapport with the brand.
I mean, it couldn't have always been so easy, like setting this big competition up or helping it progress to what it is now. What sort of challenges did you face, like trying to get this competition to the thing it is now?
I think because it was gradual, it was easier. It didn't. Okay. You don't always try to change the event 100%. You're trying to take percentage. You're working on percentage. So can you make it 20% better every year, right? So that's where it's so gradual, and you get to year 5, 6, and 7. You start to hit something like a peak, and that's usually with like every event, like where even the audience is already exhausted. So like if you look at Ultra Festival in Miami, right? Like that had a peak. Like everybody will say, oh, it's not Ultra in 2010. Like, well, no shit. It's been 13 years. But you have a threshold of how good it's going to get. And then you're just going to, how much better do you make a Formula One weekend? Better show, better concert, but it's still a loop. Yeah. Like you know, so there's a threshold there where you just try to implement little things at a time that make a big difference at the end. I
think it sort of runs itself now, right? There's a lot. There's a lot of things in place. You know what you're doing. You know what sort of
when to start.
You're doing. You know what Mohammed's doing. Yeah. So now everything just sort of runs smoothly. Now it's just the little things that you can.
And in this space, in CrossFit space, if I say we're doing this event there's no brand that doesn't know. In this space of brands, there's no brand that doesn't know what it is. That's the biggest challenge we have, or as an event would be, is that whether that brand is operational in this part of the world. It doesn't make sense for international brands sometimes to play if their product's not available here. Okay. Right. So, but then digital products, like if you look at GoWad, it makes sense. GoWad, it's digital; it can be anywhere. But if your product's not registered here, it's not trading here. Like your beverage, why would you sponsor? It doesn't make sense. If you have athletes coming, then you support the athlete coming. Okay. So we encourage that.
But would that be from the company side or people here? Because I know that people ship things in from international companies. Yeah. You know, whether it's clothing, whether it's products.
Yeah, but it's not the same as having a corporate company behind it. So even from, if you look at automotive, right? Okay. Let's say I have a partnership with Ford Motor Company in North America. Their support here will be dependent on the local distributor, not the corporate company. So that creates challenges, big challenges. Because the company here can be like, oh, we're focused on football, not CrossFit. And then they can be there like, we're focused on fitness. So you have to find a middle ground. And that's very challenging for brands.
I see.
Because the last thing you want to do is direct the customer to an alternative brand. It's like, oh, we have the Ford Raptor. Yeah. It's like, oh, wait, we only have the Ram or whatever.
Or the Bronco.
Yeah. So you create those challenges. The customer is so aware because of social media. Yeah. So you want to be careful with. But that's the biggest challenge, is the communication between global and local brands.
How much do you think local brands here have, you know, sort of been happy about the DFC competition being here? How many local brands have seen the business sort of gone from A to Z because of this competition?
What they like is that if the corporate brand supports the local brand, they're very happy. Because that means that they'll get product, they'll get the revenue, they'll get the money for it to support their efforts. Now, the brands here usually are represented by the agency, and they're just running around between one event and the other event. They don't have, you can't really quantify. What they do quantify is that we're easy to work with. These guys are not. So team A from this apparel company is going to say, this event's really easy to work with, or they're very difficult to work with. That is the only thing that matters to them.
Yeah.
Because the dollar sales doesn't really matter what the return on investment for them is. I mean, in the event, they can make some money. Obviously, you see a lot of retail going on at the event.
Yeah.
But the number one thing that you're trying to do is make sure that global understands it and supports the local partner, and the local partner wants to commit. Yeah. Very few companies are only selling one product. So I keep saying that's the number one challenge. There's a lot of challenges, but most brands here carry so many brands that they cannot focus on one brand long enough. So you have so many different apparel or shoes that how come you stop for 1 weekend and focus on this shoe? Yeah.
What does the future hold for Dubai Fitness Championship?
Do you know, I think we just wrapped up 2022. I think they're playing with the ideas of what to do in 2023. Okay. Look at overall the schedule. It's gotten quite challenging because you have Rogue has become such a behemoth event. Wodapalooza is and they're at home events. When I say at home, they're premier locations. So like Austin, Texas, and Miami, Florida, they're very easy cities to get to.
All the athletes are there.
And most of the athletes are in North America. And then most of the athletes from abroad want to come and train with those athletes leading up to the event. So that has a huge role. Can I come 10 days out, train with my friends in one state, and then do the event and then fly back? Or can I bring my own family? They spend part of the event and then go to Las Vegas or something like that. And but the cash prices in North America have gone so high that it's very hard to beat. And this is common, right? Like you can have big prices abroad for a little while, but usually the North American market will always, it's just, the business is there. So, and then you have the small brands that are not really worried. You can sponsor Wodapalooza and you can sell to entire North America and Canada, or US and Canada and Mexico.
Dubai is pretty limited, right?
It's tough. Yeah. Even if I pack all my stuff in a bag and I try.
Yeah, but Dubai is going to continue.
Yes. Well, we cater to Europe, Asia, and Middle East. So we have a bigger market share of people that we can impact, and they're still learning about. I mean, most people still haven't even heard about it, right?
But competition-wise, DFC as a competition, where do you see it going?
I think you'll see more local participation. I think it's going to merge into more regional athletes.
That's how it was last time, no?
That is what it is.
This is before all the international. So how are you going to...
How do you balance it? I mean, you'll have to play with it with the idea of having maybe limited spots for international athletes. So you have to have a qualifier, an invitational, or 2 different competitions, that kind of thing. Yep.
So is that what you're going to do?
I don't know.
Give us 2 competitions.
I don't know. This is a conversation that has to be had.
Because I think 2000, like you said, 2016, 2015, 2017, it was a competition that the expats did look forward to because it was one that was close to the heart because they're here working. The locals know them, people know who they are as an athlete, and it was kind of nice, right? Because there might have been 1 or 2 coming over. I remember the first time like Noah came over with Alex Smith and
Brooke Ends.
Yeah, there's just a couple of them. Kenneth Leveridge, and I was doing the semi-final at Al Wassel, and the guy next to me was Kenneth Leveridge. And we had some kettlebell deck squats and double unders, and I ended up beating him on this workout. And I'm like, oh my God, I just beat Kenneth Leveridge. You know, it's his first time doing these kettlebell deck squats, but I'd practiced them for God knows how many weeks because we'd seen him in a DFC workout. So, you know, trying to bring that back now to locals getting involved, I think is a good idea, but I think it definitely have to be 2 different.
I've definitely seen an uptake in local and regional events in terms of participation. There's some more cash prices floating around right now. You've seen more frequency. I don't really go to that. Like I don't watch when I'm not working it, if that makes sense. Excuse me. But it seems to be like a rejuvenated space. We'll see how we don't have the same infrastructure we had before in terms of how many facilities are catering to this specifically. It's just being used more as a general fitness more than competitive. I think everybody just grew up. Like it's been like 13, 12, 10 years for people. So now they have kids. That's it. Can they really get to the gym 3 or 4 hours a day every day? not likely.
Why can't we bring the weekend DFC
The weekend
back?
warrior. Well, I mean,
I remember this. So back in the day, when I first got to Dubai, which was 8 years ago, there was basically competition every weekend. You'd go to a gym. There was our workout to complete, whether it was 8 minutes, 10 minutes, but it was just one workout.
Yeah.
And you'd go to the gym, you complete it,
You win $10,000,
and you'd have top 3 men, top 3 women, and they'd all win a cash prize.
Yep.
And you'd see all the local expat athletes go and do these.
Miko, Phil.
Yeah, and you just get these people. It wasn't me, I just got here. But you had the same names, winning the same workouts sort of every weekend. But I think if we brought that back, little less, obviously not as much cash prizes, but if we did bring that back for the expats and the locals, I think.
Well, you're starting to see a
bring
lot
the old
of
days back.
You're starting to see a lot of more, again, like there's more frequency of these guys doing like throwdowns and but there's other sport too now. What's happened too is you have paddle and you have cycling. It's taking off quite a bit. Easier entry. I think just outside of the gym is what you've seen more. I think it's funny. I think people look like they went from like looking good to training to perform, and now it's back to like looking good, like for health and fitness, but then to do other stuff too, like to be more, like to have more useful fitness in a way, right? Like, yeah, it's cool to do this in the gym, but like, what does that mean to like when you have kids and something has to give.
Yeah. As you get older, you've got to think about
but
different things.
Events are coming up in Saudi, events are coming up in Qatar, so maybe that creates a whole different new opportunities. I know Saudi market for fitness is growing really fast. A lot of people from the UK are going there. A lot of people
going there, coaching
from here are moving to
silly
to
amounts of
Saudi.
money.
Yeah. And again, it's opportunity for trainers to earn full-time living, doing, not working less, but it's something that you couldn't do at home. I mean, you can do it in New York, you can do it in LA, but here it's more accessible.
I think it's pretty tough now to sort of get a job, come over to Dubai and actually do.
Yeah. Well, you're not getting invites like you used to.
No.
Like
it's
get
actually
like
pretty limited CrossFit gyms in Dubai. There's not that many that
Yep.
do it well.
Yep.
And you'd want to be coaching at. There's not that many.
Yep.
And I'm constantly getting messages on my Instagram from people back home going,
Any
"Oh,
jobs?
I've just done my level 2. How tell me how hard is it?" I was like, "Well, it's really hard.
Yeah. And
You
before
can't
it
just
was
walk
not.
in. You can't just walk into gym, and you definitely need experience. Like, there's no young kid just finishing college or uni coming over and doing what you have to have some sort of experience of working in a box
Yeah.
for a long time.
The easiest way would be come over here, join a gym, and then start picking up hours.
Yeah.
And then let them
Part time.
offer you a job. Yeah. Hey, can you cover?
And even then, you'd be lucky.
But no one's really hiring full time.
But if you wanted to do something similar, get yourself to Saudi. Maybe get online, look for jobs in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
because
Saudi. I get a lot of inquiries from Saudi in terms of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities.
You can make some money over there.
You can, and you can. I mean, if you want to train or earn, save money, whatever you want to do. But they're gonna go through a whole fitness revolution that I think we went through. But they're gonna there's 40+ million people there.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have a really nice fitness revolution, which is cool. Like more people are getting out and moving, which and it's okay. Here, the nice thing is that you have every concept and it's well developed. So like you want to do yoga, you have like 100 concepts that you can go to.
I think Saudi's going to just end up being like that.
Yeah.
Just a matter of time.
100%.
Because they have the money, they have the vision.
Yeah. And eventually, look, like every place, if it's a matter of the ones that do well survive and then the ones that don't go away. That's a natural business of like, if you're a good product all the time, you stay afloat. And the others will keep and go and change names and change staff and change owners and do this, change locations, that washy.
Yeah.
But
we'll finish up on a question
Yep.
That I want you to obviously answer. To people listening, just what one piece of advice would you give someone, whether it's an individual coach, whether it's someone that wants to open up their own CrossFit box or some sort of business adventure, what one piece of advice could you give them to help them?
So I'm usually not I'm not an advice person because I don't take advice. I think advice is like one of the deadly sins. It should be like the number 8 deadly sin. What I would do is just make sure that it's something that you want to do, money aside.
Yeah.
Because it's not, if you're looking at just covering classes in a gym space and earning a salary, it's very short-lived. If you have a plan of what is it going to look like today, tomorrow, how you can grow when you're not on the floor, then I would say go for it. But if you really enjoy training yourself, I would say start with a couple of friends, train them, because you might find out that you don't like training people. And then you pay the price where you stop enjoying your own fitness when you're training other people. So this is, I mean, you're really good about coming to the gym before class and training, getting your sweat in before the class. When you spend 12 hours a day in the gym working, it's really hard to get 1 hour for yourself to train. So you don't want to take something you're very passionate about and ruin it for you. Yeah. And it's happened to me at many times where I've had kids, I've had keys to the gyms for the business that I worked with, where I have access all the time. I have the supplements and everything, and I cannot be bothered to go to the gym because I know it's going to be like, I can't put my headphones in and work out when there's like 20 members there. I can't ignore them. Like if they want to, I can't say, hey, sorry, I'm working out right now. Don't talk to me. Yeah. So what do you want to get out of it? You want to break from your current job? You want to try something new? I say go for it. Try with people free. Treat them like guinea pigs. Say, this lab rat, you're going to do my shred pro. And then start there. Yeah. And then.
So just make sure that you know what you want to do. Be passionate about it.
Yeah. I think people.
And make sure you have some sort of purpose, right? Because if it doesn't fulfill you in some sort of way, then.
Like, what do you get out of it? Yeah. Money. I mean, I always say money aside. And this is why I don't think I'm a money person or not a business person, because money to me is not that important. Not that you don't need it, but like I can always make money. But it's very important to me to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them and be free and then enjoy them. I won't do, it's been a long time since I did a job that I didn't like. I've never done a job I didn't like. Yeah. I won't do it. Like if I don't like it, I won't do it. Yeah.
I mean, you find yourself in that fortunate position, right? There's a lot of people out there that.
Dude, but I find here because I worked like very hard to make it. Yeah. You know,
we've all been at that point.
You know, I've cut grass and I put roofs and I sold lemonade. Yeah. You know, so I can.
I've always been told that like you said, like money aside, you're always trying to sell like a feeling. Like you make people feel good, feel like they need to be there, then people are going to keep coming back. It's like CrossFit in a community. Like CrossFit Alioth have built this community. People feel good when they come there and they feel even better when they leave and they want to come back again. So you're selling this sort of feeling. It's like me teaching somebody how to do a rope climb for the first time. You know how euphoric they're going to feel just from climbing a rope. It's selling that feeling. It's like when you're drinking a bottle of water. Yeah.
And it's helping my scratch.
Yeah. You really need a drink of water, and that feeling of you just having that first sip of water, you know, that's what sells things.
I think you have to bring value to people.
Yeah, for sure.
When they're with you, they improve the quality of their life. They smile, they laugh, they enjoy it. Yeah. That's ultimately what everyone wants. Yeah. Not a product. We have treats from Chris.
Let's see how these mechas feel, and let's see if we actually buy these.
I saw the episode with Chris is out. It is, but I need time to sit down and listen to him because I know.
Oh, you need to, because these are his treats from Practical, our new sponsor. We have a peanut butter Rice Krispie cake and some sort of flapjack, which is definitely going to sort out that sore throat of yours. So choose one and give us a.
Did he put them? I need the Rice Krispie thingy. Yeah. Did he give you the specs?
He didn't. He just delivered them.
That's scary.
Just give us a honest opinion of how it might.
Oh, I've had this before at Assemble. No.
Don't know. But yeah. So thanks to Practical for sorting his bad throat out with a peanut butter Rice Krispie cake. I think
I'll eat away from the microphone.
I think they are soon to be up and running. Very soon, maybe in a week or so.
I'm so excited for Chris.
Yeah. If you've not listened to his podcast, then it was my last one, so episode 7. Make sure you do listen to it. If you want a food meal plan company, whatever you might want to call it, then I think this is going to be the next big thing in Dubai.
Chris is just, I worked with him before, really quick. I worked with him before COVID. And I actually talked to him about business before. I said, dude, you spend so much time working on my stuff. I said, how can you ever have 100 clients? It's like, what you mean? It was like, you can't spend this much time with every customer. Like, this doesn't make business sense. Yeah. But this is what you like, Chris. Like, every time he sits down with you is like, he's going to work with you. Like, it means that you have less people. Yeah. But you get exactly more than you expected. And he doesn't stop talking. So it always helps.
I asked him one question on the podcast. Was here for 1 hour. So yeah, thanks for the treats. And Diego, thank you for coming on my podcast and speaking all things business and
Thanks
CrossFit.
for having me. I hope it's helpful. And again, good luck with the rest of the podcast. I've really enjoyed the previous guest.
Thanks, man.
Very cool people at the gym. So keep doing it. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching and listening.
Thank you.
A big thank you to our main podcast sponsor, Practical, for supplying guests with some tasty snacks, and you guys for watching on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe and let us know what you think by dropping a message in the comment section below.